What up, Long Beach? Welcome back to your home for everything local sports. It's JJ.
And Mike, and this Director's Cut National Championship video is brought to you by Naples Rib Company.
We usually do a video for our top 10 moments of the year, but obviously our top moment was Long Beach State men's volleyball playing for the national championship under the literal history. Just history hanging above their heads here in Poly Pavilion, taking on the UCLA Bruins earlier this year. It was so much fun to see these guys finally play under the big lights at the top of the mountain.
I mean, I think you and I, as we look back on this year, really just want to spend as much time as possible thinking about this night. For all the long-suffering Long Beach State fans who'd had to watch their basketball teams suffer at the hands of the John Wooden-led Bruins teams, instead you got an ESPN show with Long Beach State winning a national championship led by the National Player of the Year in Josh Tuaninga and last year's National Player of the Year, TJ DeFalco.
Oh, they do things right at Poly Pavilion, Mike. Love the history there and love the pre-game warm-ups. You could tell, obviously, the crowd was very pro-Bruins, but we'll get back to that in just a minute because at no point did Long Beach flinch, and they had plenty of opportunities. They were not the underdog in this game, but they played like a rabid underdog in front of a rabid group of great support.
I think it's also a great community event for volleyball. John Spira, the head coach of UCLA, is also the national team coach, so guys like TJ DeFalco and Kyle Hensing, maybe Tuaninga, are going to be playing for him as Olympians in the next couple of years. It really was an amazing, special kind of a rivalry that you don't see in other NCAA sports.
They did play twice this year, and Long Beach took both of them. And then Long Beach is going to come out here and kind of like a continuation of that as we check out this footage from Long Beach State. It looked like a continuation of those matches as they took the first set.
I think at the end of the first set, you definitely felt like Long Beach State was well in control. They were handling
Look at that freaking set
like
from Tuaninga, dude.
They're handling great service from UCLA and getting points out of it, mostly because Josh is such a great setter, but Kyle was terminating 20 kills, over 300 hitting. Obviously, plenty to be happy for if you're a Long Beach State fan. Like I said, that first set looked like they were going to roll to a win.
Well, it's a service game. We've talked about it all year. All you do when you talk to men's volleyball coaches is talk about serve-receive. And the first set really set the tone for how much serve-receive was going to decide this national championship. 9 aces for Long Beach State, 7 for UCLA.
19 service errors for Long Beach State and 26 for UCLA, but if you talk to any NCAA volleyball coach, they actually don't really care about those numbers, and they don't really want to talk about those numbers. What they want to talk about is on plays like this, on a serve by Tuaninga, where does the ball go on the pass? Does the setter have to move away from the net, which makes it easier to block balls? The number one service stat you'll hear coaches talk about is there were 28 block assists in this match, which is what they're looking at. They look at service as a way to take the other team out of system, like blitzing the quarterback. It doesn't matter if you get a sack every time.
Right.
It's just about affecting the timing of the other team's offense.
Yeah, and like you said, the errors. I mean, 26 service errors from UCLA. You're already kind of putting yourself behind the 8 ball there as the crowd of over 7,000 sees Long Beach State take that first set.
Absolutely, but UCLA live with the 26 errors because if they're not pushing it, Long Beach State's going to be right down their throat with the middle blocker. So
yeah.
They don't. I mean, if you talk to Alan Knipe or John Spira, those guys will actively tell you, I don't care what the number of service errors was. I'd rather it not happen on match point. But we're going to do what we need to do to take the other team out of system.
Kind of go full tilt, and that's what UCLA did in the second and third set. It kind of just belonged to the Bruins, and no matter who you were, Bruins fan, UCLA fan, Long Beach State fan, or a member of the media, you kind of felt the momentum shifting. Like UCLA was taking this thing. There were 12 ties in the second set, but they would go on and win it because they were kind of just winning more scramble points.
And a lot of those scramble points are because of the job they did handling the Long Beach State serves. You saw the sets there to Kofi Jimma. He had 21 kills on 375 hitting, and everybody knew Micah Christensen setting Kofi Jimma, but there's nothing Long Beach State can do about it because if you handle the pass, that set to the middle with a guy as athletic as Jimma, there's essentially nothing you can do about it.
And like I said, with those scramble points, every time they seemed to win a scramble point, TJ DeFalco would come right back and put it down on him. DeFalco just having an incredible game like he always does. 18 kills for 11. But it was too many mistakes from Long Beach State in the second and third set. UCLA takes the second set 25-23, the third set 25-20, and every scramble point got the crowd a little bit louder and got this UCLA team a little bit more confident. But Area 49, black and gold, never stopped believing, never stopped cheering and the 91 alums on hand, like the history in this building was so big. You almost anticipated something unforgettable.
Well, we went back into the locker room, and in addition to some of the 91 guys, you have Olympians like David Lee and Dusty Watton. It was not just the team on the floor together, but you did feel the history of the whole program behind them, and they needed it because the fourth set was an absolute nail-biter that we kind of felt like was when the match was really decided.
Oh yeah, UCLA led the whole way, and they would end up taking an 18-16 lead. However, Nick Amato right here with the kill to get service back, and then Amato with the big block to tie it up 18-18. Everybody wearing black and gold going absolutely bananas Foster.
Well, because everyone felt, I think the fans felt, you and I certainly felt, the team and the coaches all said that if Long Beach State could get to a fifth, they'd win it. Josh Tuininga, determined to do everything he could, breaks a 24-24 tie with the ballsy dump. And then, moment of the night, maybe moment of the year, he goes back and rips the ace for set point to send this thing to a fifth set.
Unreal. Get you somebody that looks at you the way Josh Tuininga looked at that student section right there, man. That is just fire.
A big emotion moment from a guy who usually is so even-keeled. I think that helped turn the crowd up as well. We go to the fifth set where it was 5 ties and 4 lead changes, but you really felt this was Long Beach's set all the way. They take an 8-7 lead at the switch.
And that was so key, Mike, because at the switch, after this, I don't even understand how UCLA is out of rotation in the fifth set of a national championship, but after the switch, you go home. You go to the side with your fans, and with those fans behind you mentally, physically, actually, it was like they couldn't lose, dude.
Well, and we talk about the blocks in this fifth set, but really this is because of the service. This pulls the setter away from the net. That means the hitting angles are much narrower as you see the contact point so far behind the net.
Bookend storyline, Mike.
That allows those blocks, a huge block from TJ DeFalco right there as he dome pieces the UCLA hitter, and that puts Long Beach State where they wanted to be, right on the brink of the national championship.
Amato ends it. Winner, winner. First national championship for Long Beach State in 20 years, dinner.
Awesome. Their first NCAA title since Misty May Traynor was the setter for the women's volleyball team in '98. You look at these scores, and it just really highlights how incredible this was. To be down 2-1, then win the 4-set 26-24, and win it in 5 was absolutely incredible. And, look, we're not a football school. JJ and I are both Long Beach State alums. We didn't get to go to football games with 30,000 people there. You get moments like this, if you're lucky, once every couple of generations. And how amazing for these cheerleaders, these players, the student section, everybody else to get to go down there and celebrate being number 1 in the country.
Man, that student section went toe-to-toe with the Bruins student section, never backed down. Even the mayor was on hand.
And Robert Garcia, in addition to Bruce Double D McCray. Alan Knipe going around high-fiving former players, former coaches. It was an absolute reunion at the best possible moment. It was almost like a wedding. Everyone's as happy as they could have been, and you get to see people you don't see all that often.
And it was the end of a long journey, right? You got a guy like TJ Hildebrand, who played at Long Beach State, who played in the Final Four at Long Beach State, comes back to help build this recruiting class, and then gets to watch these kids win the ultimate prize. How about Andy Feet? Just comes in and wins a national championship? How do you do that?
A little bit under a year since he took over, and he gets to see a national championship. Pretty cool. Tuininga, the National Player of the Year, the most valuable player of this tournament, certainly deserved it. Guys like Bjarne Hus who are going to graduate, there aren't many graduating. Bjarne was probably more emotional than any of the other players knowing this would be his last match with Long Beach State.
Yeah, everybody deserves a little bit of a moment, right? And I really love that the NCAA takes that time at the end of this match to give everyone on this squad a little piece of their own trophy.
They all got a nice watch, too. They all got a little tiny piece of the court. A lot of the guys got little pieces of the net as well in addition to these trophies. It's very cool for the student-athlete experience for them to be so richly rewarded with these kind of mementos and keepsakes.
I love this, too. The team picture where, every single member of media that's in the building has to stand on one side, and then the team just stands on the other.
Right. Totally right. It's like the best possible
And I didn't know they did this. I didn't know they cut the net. That's so cool.
Well,
Obviously,
we haven't covered a
basketball
national champion, so we've never gotten to see it happen.
Well, it's a basketball tradition. You're not cutting down the soccer net. Or maybe they should do that as well. I don't know. I really love scissors involved in a celebration. So anytime you can mix those two things together, it's pretty cool. And to have those guys, back-to-back players of the year, be able to cut that thing down together is just, man, these are the shots you never thought you'd get. You know what I mean? The shots of the hands holding up the trophy as you see here as we finish that top of the mountain feeling, you just never consider that as a possibility. And when it happens, you just look around, you hug the nearest person next to you, and count yourself lucky.
And then you cut a video that night, and then a month later, you maybe want to cut another video with a longer look at this historic championship. Thank you so much for sticking around and checking out an in-depth look at this thing. Thanks so much again to Naples Rib Company. And please visit the562.org and click subscribe to make sure that this kind of coverage is around for years to come.
And come back in October. Maybe we'll just do this thing again.